Excellent!
When Josh from Fractal Design asked to meet me discreetly at an undisclosed location, I suspected a variety of outcomes, but I was in for a surprise. Josh, the master of disguise, actually had a new case for me to look at, the Define R5. This is a mid-tower ATX case and the successor to the immensely popular Define R4, with 2 years in development and a host of new features, many of them directly requested by Fractal fans. Josh already demonstrated his confidence in the Define R5's packaging. It uses hard foam, but there's plenty of it to keep things safe if you're planning to reship a finished build. I have the black version of the R5 with the solid side panel for maximum noise dampening. It will also be made available in white and titanium gray, and windowed side panel versions are also in the works. MSRP is $110 US for this version and $120 for the windowed ones. Aesthetically, the R5 can easily be mistaken for the R4 or R3 for that matter. When your calling card is minimalist Scandinavian design, I suppose it's difficult to make things much more minimalisty, so stick with what works, right? The black painted steel and black plastic are matched perfectly though, and the swinging front door has a faux brushed metal panel that has a more matte finish than earlier versions and does a pretty good job resisting fingerprints. This door is padded for sound dampening and is also reversible, so it can open either way. It does require a screwdriver, but it is a simple change to make. Behind the door, you've got a couple 5¼ inch bays with easily removable panels, and below that a large front intake with a dust filter that's also easy to remove and reinstall, and has angled fins to direct airflow and further reduce any noise that might be trying to escape from inside the case. Behind it is a single 140mm fan, but more on that later, and space for another 140 fan or water cooling radiators, also more on rad support in just a moment. One of my favorite new features for the R5 is at the bottom here, and that's the full-sized dust filter that covers all the bottom intakes on the case while being accessible from the front. This means that you can clean all your intake filters without needing to access the back or bottom of the case. Other than that, on the bottom you have some pretty standard raised feet with rubber pads, and removing the filter shows all the mounts for fans and or radiators. Moving to the top of the case, front I/O includes your standard mic and headphone jacks, recessed reset button, power button with blue LED backlight with a more recessed activity light just below it, and 4 USB ports with the 2 super speed ports labeled as 3.0 rather than having blue plugs because Fractal. These are also spaced out pretty well too for plugging in more sizable USB devices. The R5 does still have a 3-speed 3-fan controller built in. The switch for that is tucked just inside the front door beneath the top I/O and is powered with a standard SATA power plug. By now you may have spotted the Moduvent panels at the top of the case. These 3 panels are also padded for sound and can be removed individually so you can have that perfect mix of airflow or noise reduction. On the back of the case, you have a 120 or 140mm fan or radiator mount at the top. It's slotted so you can shift your fan up or down for proper spacing. There's an I/O shield knockout, of course, additional hex grilling for ventilation, 7 expansion slots, and a bottom-mounted power supply. The side panels, in traditional Define series fashion, are dense and thick with full padding for noise reduction. The right side has captured thumb screws so you won't lose them, and the left side has an optional 120 or 140mm fan mount, although it is not filtered, but not a huge deal. And another cool upgrade on the side panel is the latching system for easy access to the case's main chamber. This was a feature that I really liked. The side panels swing out for removal now too, instead of using catches along the top and the bottom, also an upgrade. Before we move to the interior, here's a look at accessories: individually bagged black screws, a standoff tightener that's unfortunately plastic instead of metal, and lovely rubber washers for reducing hard drive vibration. Inside we've got traditional white accents on things like the expansion slots, fan blades, and drive cages, which just looks cool. These drive cages are all metal and support up to 8 3.5-inch drives in a couple positions within each sled, as well as 2.5-inch drives, and again they are metal and way better than plastic ones. Sure, you need screws to mount the drive to the sled, but I'm okay with that for hard drives. The drive cages themselves can be removed completely, turned sideways, although I don't see much call for that these days, or moved to the middle mount closer to the PSU, or hung from the top of the case, all by removing some cleverly placed thumb screws. The cages also have a more open design to allow more airflow over the drives. The 5¼ inch cage is also easily removable with thumb screws, although the lowest drive cage and the top bracket for the ODD bays requires a screwdriver if you want to pull everything out for maximum radiator support. So I've shown you radiator mounts on the front, bottom, top, and back, but what actually fits there? The easiest way to show you is to take a page out of the well-written Define R5 manual. Literally. which shows up to 360mm support up front, up to 240 on the bottom, 120 or 140 at the back, and up to 420 on top. But bear in mind that for wider rads, those are the ones highlighted in blue, you're limited to 55mm max thickness for the radiator and your fans. And of course, you couldn't do all of these at the same time, as a thick 360mm rad at the front, for example, is going to block the available space at the top and the bottom. Just kind of makes sense. The motherboard tray is finished in a beautiful black paint job along with the rest of the interior. There's a fixed raised standoff at the center, which we're seeing a lot more on cases these days, definitely a plus. A generous CPU cutout and plenty of well-positioned rubber grommeted cable pass-throughs. Also, the PSU mount at the bottom has some rubber cushions to minimize your power supply vibrations. The two included case fans are also new from Fractal Design. They're the dynamic GP14 models and have hydraulic bearings, angled struts, and notched and grooved fan blades to smooth out the noise profile and reduce humming. They are 3-pin only, so no PWM support, but they do run very quiet and can spin as low as 1000 RPM. Behind the motherboard tray, we have thoughtfully placed cable tie-downs and a wonderful section running down the middle with Velcro straps for your beefier 24-pin and GPU power connectors. There are also recessed areas for tucking away cables at the bottom and towards the front drive cages, with plenty of space between the tray and the side panel. Finally, we have two more hidden 2.5-inch drive mounts back here, and they've been upgraded with removable trays, so you don't have to pull your motherboard out to swap a drive. I'm going to go ahead and take credit for this particular upgrade since I complained about that shortcoming with the Define R4. So, is this case quiet? Well, preliminary testing of the included fans indicates yes, and I've spoken with some friends who have confirmed that with a full build installed, the sound dampening on the side and front of the R5 does a very, very good job. Fractal has built upon their past successes with the Define series. They've delivered a case that has all the things that made the R4 so popular, while adding features that fans have been asking for a while. I particularly like the versatility that the case has thanks to the modularity of the drive cages and the extensive radiator support. So my only question now is, what system should I build in the Define R5? I feel like I could do anything from a sensible budget rig to an all-out custom water-cooled monstrosity, so let me know what you think I should do in the comment section down below. Like and share this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'll be back again soon with more tech videos.